Welcome everybody to another quest on the Catholic Quest YouTube channel. I'm your host. Like it or not, you're stuck with me. Fair warning for this video, there is going to be spoilers pertaining to God of War, most especially the newest one, God of War Ragnarok. You have been warned. Spoilers ahead. Today, the theme of the video is going to be prophecy and free will. Are we really free? Does prophecy restrict that, taking away any true freedom? Are we responsible for the actions we take? Well, I could give you the short answer, but let's take a deep dive into what the game says about these things and what the Catholic faith says. God of War Ragnarok is a story about many things, but one of the core things it tackles, and perhaps gets most wrong, is prophecy. How does prophecy work with the idea of free will? Can we change prophecy? What even is prophecy? This game manages to answer these questions erroneously. It does show us that free will exists, but the story seems to suggest that free will negates prophecy, and vice versa. But that's not true, is it? You see, most Christians believe in prophecy, but also hold to free will without compromise. Let's tackle these questions to see how this all fits together. Kratos starts off by not believing in prophecy. Quite frankly, he's right not to if the prophecy of this game was anything to go off of. Seriously, the prophecy in this game is controlled by the so-called Norns, three sisters of fate in Norse mythology. However, it is revealed that all they really do is predict outcomes based on past actions of characters. Seriously? That's it? Those aren't prophetic words. Those are just really good guesses. That's what you get when you go to a fortune teller and you tell them that your old parent is very sick, and then they tell you that they will die. It's just a prediction on the information they have, pretending to be foreknowledge. Some of them have even more problematic sources of prediction, but that's another topic altogether. But what is prophecy if not merely a prediction? The Catholic Encyclopedia defines it as such. Understood in its strict sense, it means the foreknowledge of future events, though it may sometimes apply to past events of which there is no memory, and to present hidden things which cannot be known by the natural light of reason. We will concern ourselves primarily with the kind of prophecy that involves foreknowledge of the future for this video. As you heard, what we believe in is not just merely a prediction. Anyone can make a prediction, but only God can provide foreknowledge of the future, though he can communicate that through his creatures. Think of the angel Gabriel proclaiming to Mary that she would have a child and name him Jesus. See Luke chapter 1, verses 26 through 38 for that. God has also revealed prophecies through humans as well. Think of the prophet Nathan in 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 8 through 17, proclaiming to David that David's son would build God's temple. As such, we can already see that the supposed prophecies of God of War Ragnarok are no prophecies at all. They are merely really good predictions, and they admit as much. But let's pretend for a moment that they fit the bill of prophecy for the sake of exploring how free will works with prophecy. The idea that prophecy negates freedom simply conflates knowledge with causation. It at least posits that they are inseparably linked. But first, let us see how the Catechism of the Catholic Church defines freedom in paragraph 1731, so that we are on the same page as to what definition I am working with here. Freedom is the power, rooted in reason and will, to act or not to act, to do this or that, and so to perform deliberate actions on one's own responsibility. So does this contradict prophecy that relates to the future? Let's have a quick thought experiment. Suppose that I go on ahead and watch a game of football. The team I am rooting for is winning. They're crushing it, in fact. By the end, they win. I loved it so much that I decided to use my handy-dandy time machine and go back in time to the beginning of the game. I find myself knowing every single thing that each player would do. Every pass, every throw, every touchdown. It's exactly as I knew it would be. And yet we could clearly see that my knowledge of what was about to play out was not a causal power. It didn't force the players to play in the way that I knew they would. Similarly, God knows what we will do, although to Him all of time is accessible always, and so it's not really the future to Him since He is outside of time. But His omniscience does not mean He forced us down a path. We can choose to do whatever we have the ability to do, but God knows which choice we will make. But what if I want to change my mind on a decision, you might ask? I can do that. Say I want to play video games tomorrow night. Tomorrow comes, and then I decide to read a book instead. God's knowledge would be that I want to play video games, change my mind, then read a book. I would not have changed God's knowledge since His knowledge would have already included my indecisiveness. Once again, He didn't force me to do anything. I was able to even change my mind. But He knew that I would, is all. His knowledge is infallible since He simply knows what I will do, not because He forces me down a path. I hope that makes sense. What if I change my mind about something after receiving a prophecy? Can I change the prophecy? No. The prophecy can't be changed since that is a proclamation of the knowledge of what I would do. Just because I hear the prophecy doesn't mean I will decide to do something different in the future. I will do whatever I will choose to do, and the prophecy is proclaiming that choice before I make it is all. If I was going to do something differently, the prophecy would have already included that. If it's a conditional prophecy, on the other hand, then I still am not changing the prophecy. But let's take a look at an example real quick. Let's say a prophecy was given to me that if I do not repent of a sin, I will suffer great consequences. I then make the decision to repent. Well, that's good. But that seems to change the prophecy, doesn't it? Not really, because it was a conditional prophecy. The prophecy hasn't changed. If I didn't repent, then the bad thing will happen to me. But I did repent, and so the prophecy accomplished what it set out to do. You see how depraved the idea of free will and prophecy is in this game? Practically every idea of prophecy is contradictory to the Catholic understanding. That's part of the reason I gave this game a 4 out of 10, regarding its compatibility with the faith. Granted, I recognize that the game was working with Greek and Norse mythology, and so maybe the idea of prophecy is different in those mythologies, but that doesn't mean it's any less erroneous. The nice thing is that it provided an opportunity for analyzing what the correct view is, and yet there's still so much more that can be discussed that touches upon free will and prophecy. But it doesn't quite relate to the game directly, so I had to leave out a few things. Lastly, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click on the bell icon if you'd like to receive notifications when I upload. And remember, open up the door when Christ comes knocking. Bye-bye.